Testing. Good evening and welcome to our council meeting on November 19th, 2025. I now call on Tim Brubaker, Regional Clerk, to conduct the roll call.
Thank you. Regional Chair Redmond.
Present.
Councillor Craig. Councillor Erb.
Present.
Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Councillor Gowing.
Right here.
Councillor Harris. Is Councillor Harris in the Zoom room? Okay. Councillor Hunick.
Is it still Wednesday?
It's still Wednesday, Councillor. Councillor James.
Present.
We have regrets from Councillor Liggett, Councillor McCabe. Present. Councillor Nowak. Councillor Rodriguez.
Present.
Councillor Salonen.
Present.
We have regrets from Councillor Shantz, Councillor Rubanovich, and Councillor Wolf. Present. Thank you, Chair.
I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, and the Chinootan peoples. In doing so, I want to reflect on what it means to be doing important community work like we are engaging in collectively today, and also on my own individual relationship to this land. As a settler, one of the most important aspects of my individual journey towards truth and reconciliation has been to listen, and I am continually grateful to the community who shares their stories and concerns with me. As well as chair of the region, I know I carry a large responsibility to ensure that it is not just myself on the individual level listening and acting, but that as a government we are listening and creating action in our community. I'm offering this acknowledgement as one of the many actions I am personally and the region largely is taking on our journey towards reconciliation. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. There are a few days of significance I would also like to recognize. November 16th to 22nd is Métis Week, which celebrates Métis culture, history, and contributions to Canada, beginning on Louis Riel Day. Further, November the 20th is Transgender Day of Remembrance, which honors the memory of transgender individuals whose lives were lost due to anti-transgender violence. Lastly, November 29th 2025 is the International Day of Solidarity with Palestinian People, a United Nations observed day that reaffirms the international community's commitment to a peaceful resolution for Palestinian people, highlighting global efforts for solidarity and peace. Colleagues, I would now entertain a motion to reconvene in open. Moved by Councillor Gowing, seconded by Councillor James. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Councillors Harris and Craig, are you in favor of reconvening in open?
I just popped up now.
Great, thank you.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Colleagues, that is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none, we have no presentations, no petitions. We do have delegations. They are listed on the agenda, and I would like to remind all delegations of some guidelines for participation. If you're attending in person, please proceed to the podium when you are called upon to speak. If you're attending virtually, please turn on your microphone and camera when you are called upon. You will have 5 minutes to speak if you are registered before the deadline and 3 minutes if you registered afterwards. Additionally, some general reminders. If you conduct yourself in any of the following manners, it will result in an immediate removal from the meeting. Interrupting councillors, staff, or other delegations. Derogatory statements about councillors, staff, or others. Turning your camera on at inappropriate times, hate speech, or defamatory comments. One last reminder for delegations. Please do not take offense if following your presentation, there are no questions from council. This is council's time to really listen and reflect upon the opinions and ideas that are shared with us from the community members. A quick reminder for members of the audience, you're asked to maintain order. This means You may not address council without the permission of the chair, interrupt anyone, disrupt the meeting with unreasonable noise or vocal expressions such as applause, booing, or cheering, and displaying signs or posters. First delegation is Don Beauchamp and Patrick McMahon, Enbridge Gas.
Good evening, members of council. Can you hear me okay?
We can go ahead. You have the floor and you have 5 minutes.
Great, thank you. My name is Don Beauchamp, the Director of Utilization with Enbridge Gas. I am here on behalf of Enbridge Gas to request your support in acceptance of our model franchise agreement. This agreement is based on a long-standing province-wide model established and approved by the Ontario Energy Board, ensuring the consistency, fairness, and transparency across municipalities we serve. We value our partnership with the regional municipality of Waterloo and remain committed to operating in a way that prioritizes public safety, environmental protection, fiscal responsibility. I'll walk you through some of the key components of the agreement. Our goal is to provide clarity, reinforce our commitment to collaboration, and ensure council has the information needed to move forward confidently. Slide 2, please. In the regional municipality of Waterloo, we've been operating since 1886 and currently serve 105,000 customers. Slide 3, please. In 2024, Enbridge Gas contributed significantly to local tax bases, paying just under 147 million in property taxes province-wide. Of that, nearly 4.2 million went to the region's 7 lower-tier municipalities, with 1.6 directed to the regional municipality of Waterloo itself. Slide 4, please. Our agreement with the regional municipality of Waterloo comes up for renewal on May 24th, 2026. The agreement has been in place since 2000, was created by the Ontario Energy Board, AMO, and utilities to ensure a consistent province-wide regulatory framework. The OEB has routinely declined municipal requests to modify the agreement, prioritizing consistency and regulatory efficiencies. The board is expected to conduct a targeted review of the model in 2026 and will decide how any updates apply to existing agreements. Slide 5, please. If the municipality needs to modify a road or municipal infrastructure and requires our gas system to be relocated, Enbridge Gas must relocate those assets upon notice within a reasonable time frame to a location approved by the municipal engineering staff. Slide 6, please. So disposition of gas systems. Section 15B of the agreement outlines what happens when parts of the gas systems are decommissioned. Enbridge may remove decommissioned assets, but is not obligated to. If we do not remove the decommissioned infrastructure and the municipality needs it removed for road work, utility installations, or other improvements, the municipality may remove it and dispose of it as required. Neither party can claim cost or damages from the other in that scenario. Slide 7, please. Across Ontario, the standard practice is to abandon decommissioned gas assets in place. As a regulated utility, Enbridge Gas must ensure all costs are prudently incurred. Abandoning assets in place is typically the safest and most cost-effective method, a point reinforced by the Ontario Energy Board report approving the current model franchise agreement. The OEB's November 2020 decision of the Windsor Line replacement project is an important precedent. The County of Essex argued that the pipeline should be fully removed. Removing it would have cost just under $6 million in cost to Ontario ratepayers. The OEB confirmed that abandoning in place is a prudent and appropriate approach, consistent with the decisions in other similar cases. The agreement before you provides a stable, proven foundation that enables effective planning, responsible growth, and alignment with regulatory expectations. Your support will ensure that we can continue to deliver safe, reliable, affordable energy to residents and businesses. Energy to residents and businesses of this region. Thank you again for the opportunity to present to you today.
Thank you. Didn't mean to scare you. You had a minute left.
No worries.
I see no questions. Thank you very much for, sorry. Councillor Vrbanovich, go ahead.
Yep, thank you. Thank you very much, Chair Redmond. Thanks for coming in with your presentation. Just have you had dialogue with our CAOs here or chief financial officers here at the region, as well as with the area municipalities about this request?
Councillor, myself, I have not.
Okay, thank you. Just normally the process would be that, you know, companies such as yourself would work through our chief administrative officers. And because we're in a two-tier system here, you would engage with our area municipalities as well. And as you know, we're also in a bit of a unique situation here because of Kitchener Utilities as well. Yeah, just I don't know how we're planning on disposing of this, Madam Chair, but perhaps
We have a report later on in our agenda.
We'll deal with it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no other questioners, so thank you very much for delegating. Our next delegate is Amy Susanna Compton from Waterloo. Welcome, Amy Susanna, and you have 5 minutes.
Good evening, Chair Redmond and councillors. I'm here for my 4th time because you continue to ignore our farmers. I'm here again because the 770 acres of farmland in Wilmot should remain farmland. In the first few months of our knowledge of this land assembly, Mr. Harris went on the record to tell us publicly as well as personally that the province had nothing to do with this land assembly. Those were his words. But this province is funding the land purchase, and we all know money is not nothing. This council is not comfortable with me saying that we were lied to, so why don't you tell me what word I should use instead? Whatever way you frame it, our trust in this council was damaged. This council reapproved the regional official plan in 2022, which designated this land as agricultural, still protected by both regional bylaw and the provincial standards for prime farmland. Then just over a year later, without consultation, this farmland is under threat of expropriation by you for industrial use, while that official plan was still supposed to be current and relevant. Whatever way you frame it, our trust in this council was damaged. Then there was the intentional destruction of 160 acres of corn. Whatever happened to that due diligence report? You whisked it away with so many unanswered questions, and no one was held accountable for all that food. That was hundreds of thousands of dollars just thrown away, and no one was okay with that action. You saw the uproar. It's been over a year. Where's the accountability? Whatever way you frame it, our trust in this council was damaged. Let me be clear. I have believed in this council. You've done amazing things, and those are worth remembering. And I want to believe in you again. But you don't get my trust back by carrying on as if nothing has been shattered. Despite what some people want us to believe, this land assembly isn't a done deal. Take note of Volkswagen in St. Thomas. Suddenly, St. Thomas needs to upgrade their water system. We've been reminding you of this potential issue here. But St. Thomas is less than 20 kilometers to the lake, and it'll cost them $400 million. The municipality is dealing with that bill. How much farther from the lake are we? What happens when our water system can't handle mega industry? Jobs versus farms is a false dichotomy, and you keep enforcing it. We can have both, yet you fail to explore how. The entire region is partnered together, rural and urban. It's not divisive unless you antagonize it, pitting one against the other. This is some of Canada's highest quality farmland. This is a resource that will continue forever if we care for it. And it will never produce again if you slap industry on it. There's plenty of land that won't be producing the bounty of food we see on these farms. Factories and industry belong on that kind of land. That's using our resources wisely. And you used to know that. What of our gravel pits? What of our brown sites? What of the industrial land that has been sitting vacant for years? This land assembly nullifies the hard work of the Ion train, and I don't think this council wants to negate all that good and hard work. This council had a reputation for pushing back against the province, one willing to take risks for the sake of the community they serve. We want to trust you again. Take action. Begin rebuilding our trust, or get out of the way. Begin by ending the NDA. It's been almost 2 years and you have given us nothing.
Amy, Susanna, you got 1 minute left.
Be courageous enough and find a way out of it. Show us your plan, the plan you should have proposed to the community before you began shoving people off their land. Let us see it. Give real accountability of the corn shredding. Fill the long vacant industrial lands across the region with actual jobs. Build our trust that you can do more. End this land assembly. Revert the farms back to their owners, to the farmers who feed our community. Work together, township and region, to rebuild the countryside line. Push back against the province. Councillors, you've noticed there are many groups across our region who are deeply unhappy with how you've handled situations over the past 3 years. How comfortable are those seats? Because some of those groups, we're friends. The edges of our causes align. We bring together enough minorities and we become a majority. I have no doubt that those seats will change dramatically in less than a year unless you prove to us there's something left to trust in you. Begin rebuilding today. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, Susanna. I see no questions, so thank you very much for delegating. Next delegation is Reed Nadler from Kitchener. Reed, are you in the audience? Yeah. Welcome. You have the floor and you have 5 minutes.
Chair Redmond and members of Regional Council, thank you for this opportunity. I'm speaking tonight to urge you to approve the Ion Light Rail extension to downtown Galt. Good evening. My name is Reed Nadler. I am 13 and I live in Kitchener, where the buses are pretty good. I know that in a lot of Cambridge, many people can't say that. There are numerous reasons why Ion should be extended. Among them are faster travel times, increased equity in terms of transportation in the Tri-Cities, spiking of development, as well as creating, shaping, and improving the quality of life of communities. The decreased travel times came from Ion, but they also came from Ion's huge rework and expansion of Kitchener and Waterloo's bus network that brought it from the spoke and hub network of the past to a grid system of the future, revolutionizing travel in those cities. Did Cambridge receive the same? Not really. They just got a minor upgrade to their existing spoke and hub network. This is an opportunity to fix that. Ion also gave way to many new public infrastructure, housing, and commercial development projects. Along with this, it grew communities and strengthened the bonds between people. Finally, Ion was completed at a really important time for me. I watched it be constructed as I grew up, and when it was ready, it enabled me to go places, do things, and explore the region in a way that wouldn't have been possible, or nearly as cool, using iExpress. I'm sure that there will be at least one kid similar to me who will watch this project grow with them and at last be able to ride it and explore their region. Now, it is finally time to give Cambridge what was given to the other two cities: faster travel times, increased transportation equity, increased development, and community creation and improvements. Cambridge wants, needs, but most importantly deserves Ion. So please, approve this extension. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Don't go away. We have some questions. Councillor James.
Thank you. Through you, Chair Redmond. Reed, thank you for coming in today and speaking with us. I know you're very passionate about our transit system and always have been. I do have a question for you, and it is simply, what is your favorite part about our transit system, or Ion, or the buses? What is your favorite aspect of our transit system?
I know that there's like a proper way that I have to like respond to the question.
Just say.
I would have to say where all the routes like intersect in downtown, because there's just like bam, 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 so much happening.
Thank you, Reed. And it's refreshing to see younger voices speaking to the benefit of our transit system, because that is the hope that the dependency on cars changes and that there is youth from an early age taking and trusting our system. So thank you for coming in today.
Councillor Hunick.
Through the chair, I'll echo Councillor James's comments. Thank you for coming. Thank you for articulating yourself so well. Thank you for using transit, and I hope you will run for council as soon as you're old enough.
Reed, you do not have to commit. We're just telling you. Councillor Wolf.
Through you, Madam Chair, I too would like to thank you, Reed, as a councillor representing Cambridge. I'm happy to see someone your age who really wants to see the connection of the entire region and talks about equitable transportation. So when we get it, what do you want to see first in Cambridge?
Like in terms of like seeing things?
Pardon? What do you want to visit in Cambridge?
Probably the waterfront, because I think it's really pretty.
Okay. All right. I hope you'll get there very soon.
Councillor Verbanovich.
Thanks very much, and thanks, Reed, for coming in and sharing your passion with us. Always love seeing young people get engaged in local affairs. It's something I did many years ago, back when I still had some hair. But in all seriousness, as you talk to other young people such as yourself, do you ever talk about transit and ION and things like that? And what are some of the things that your friends and colleagues share about it?
I hear a lot about it at school. I talk to my friends about it all the time. Specifically after school, I get on a packed train every day, and I hear a lot of good things about it. I hear that it is, like, people refer to it as if it has been, because it has been integrated into their daily lives, and they are so comfortable with it, and it's really cool to see that they can just say, like, oh yeah, I'll just pop down on the train, or like at break people are going and like, oh, I'm gonna go to downtown and I'll get some food, and I know that there will be a train that will get me back in time for before I have to be in my next class.
That's awesome. And do young people prefer sort of taking the train over buses and so on?
Yeah, I've heard from a lot of people that I know that it's either get on the train or get on the 7, and people are like, well, the train has Wi-Fi, and all my friends are taking the train, and the train is smoother, and the train is faster, so I'm going to take the train.
Awesome. Well, listen, thanks again, and I hope you do commit sooner rather than later, and we don't have, you have to wait till you're 18, but hopefully one day we'll see you around this horseshoe in the future. Thanks so much.
Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, well done. Commissioner Spooner, you may have your speaker on promoting the ION too. You did a great job. You know why? You spoke from the heart. And when you speak from the heart, you usually can't go wrong. So well done.
Thank you.
Those are all the questions that I have. I'd just like to add my voice of thanks to you. And I really liked how you talked about the bus system and the whole GRT system, and not just the train. The train is probably the shiny sort of attractive piece of this. And you're right, Cambridge does deserve the phase 2 for sure. But we look at it as a system so that everybody throughout the region is going to be able to have public transit. So thank you for coming in, and thank you for being so thoughtful in your presentation. The next delegation is Samir Sharma and David Kuhn, Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association. Welcome. You have the floor, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Redmond and members of Regional Council. My name is Samir Sharma, and I'm pleased to be here tonight on behalf of the Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association, known as WUSA, at the University of Waterloo. I'm currently in my second year in the Faculty of Mathematics, and I serve on WUSA's Board of Directors. I'm speaking on behalf of our President and Vice President, who unfortunately couldn't attend this evening. Public transit is a major priority for students at the University of Waterloo and across Waterloo region. That's why WUSA is here tonight to support our strong support of Council's approval of Stage 2 ION Extension to Cambridge. Earlier this month, WUSA submitted a letter expressing support for the staff recommendation on Stage 2 ION business case. I'm here tonight to reaffirm the support of Council considers the final approval and to highlight why this project matters deeply to students across the region. We commend the regional staff for their thoughtful work and for advancing a vision that reflects the long-term needs of our growing and interconnected communities, and we applaud all members of Council who share the same vision. As an out-of-province student, having a good public transit system is one of the reasons I chose to study at the University of Waterloo. I have seen problems with delayed public transit projects, such as the Green Line in Calgary, where I'm from. Having a forward-looking approach, like doing Stage 2 now, will help avoid the pitfalls that other major projects have faced across Canada. Stage 2 extension from Fairway to downtown Cambridge isn't just a transit expansion, it's about regional connection. It links all three cities through a continuous rapid transit corridor that supports an academic, residential, and employment growth. It also advances equitable access, ensuring all students and residents across the region can depend on reliable transit. For students, that means being able to get for early morning classes, late night study sessions, co-op jobs, and social activities without depending on a car. Students want to be able to move from place to place, home to class, from campus to co-op, and from one city to another. But we need a system that actually allows them to do that. Right now, many students in Cambridge from the University of Waterloo feel like they don't have the same level of connectivity that students from Waterloo or Kitchener do. The extension to Cambridge will help change that, since it will give our students a sense of belonging to one region, not simply separate cities. The extension also supports sustainable growth, enabling transit-oriented development that reduces emissions, extends housing options, and strengthens local business, while helping the region meet its climate and planning goals. We've seen an overwhelming public and stakeholder support for completing the ION network, a clear signal that residents, students, and employers share a vision for a more connected region. That's why WUSA is encouraging Council to approve the project and continue advancing it towards full implementation and funding commitments from the provincial and federal government. For students in particular, Stage 2 represents an investment in mobility and equity. It provides a dependable option for thousands who rely on GRT transit and interregional services to reach campus, co-op placements, and community spaces. Reliable transit doesn't just move people, it creates a lot of opportunity. When transit is frequent and accessible, students can live and work closer to where they learn, participate more fully in the life of the region. We recognize the Stage 2 ION is a long-term investment, and one that will help shape the way people move, live, and connect across the Waterloo region for decades to come. It's about building the foundation for a system that future students and residents can rely on. By acting today, you're ensuring that those who come after us will inherit a community that's more connected, more sustainable, and more equitable. We look forward to continuing our collaboration with the region, GRT, and our post-secondary partners to ensure that Stage 2 ION can prioritize accessible, sustainable, and student needs. This is a transformational project that will benefit future generations of students and residents across Waterloo region, ensuring that communities we're building today are connected, equitable, and sustainable tomorrow. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Thanks for coming in, Samir and David, and for adding your support for this really important project. I'm curious if you have any information, even estimations on the number of students that go to the University of Waterloo or any of our other post-secondary institutions that make the decision that they don't need to buy a vehicle when they're here because they know that we have a really functional and great LRT and a really good a growing bus network. Do you ever get a sense from students what difference that makes? And particularly, I'm thinking of from the affordability side of it.
1 second.
Call a friend.
David, he can call a friend if you want to go help me answer it.
We can get back to you with numbers. I can just say personally, it's a big save. Even our UPass program just saves so much money being able to personally travel, and I think it's definitely a big draw to students to be able to have that interconnectivity throughout the area.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I've heard from a few students too that who arrived in Waterloo and then realized that how much better the transit is than the communities they came from, and then they've sold vehicles. So just wondered, I'd be curious to know kind of how pervasive that is, or how much that is there to support students and really address. We know tuition's expensive, the cost of housing is expensive, but if you don't have to buy a car to get around, that's obviously a huge savings. The other question I just have is, we're glad that you're in support of this, but is this something that WUSA, through you do a lot of advocacy as well. Is this something that you would partner with the region on in terms of like adding your voice to the advocacy we need to get funding from the province and the feds to get this second stage built?
I think our students have made it clear to us this is a priority for them, so definitely us helping in any way to move forward this project. Our students have shown a clear need through our research, through talking to them, that this is a major priority, so definitely.
Fantastic, thank you.
Councillor Wolf.
Through you, Madam Chair. Samir, I just wanted to thank you for highlighting how Stage 2 ION benefits the post-secondary student. We've heard a lot of people who like the ION, but you particularly highlighted the benefits. And I know the School of Architecture in downtown Cambridge, as you said, many of those students feel isolated from the main campus, and this would be, a definite benefit. So thank you for coming in.
Thank you very much, Samir. Those are all the questions we have. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for the support of Phase 2 of the ION. Our next delegation is Jeremy Turner, Selena McIntosh, and Heather Callender, CUPE Local 1883. Welcome to the podium. You have 5 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening, members of Regional Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. My name is Jeremy Turner, and I'm the Member Engagement Officer for CUPE Local 1883, and I'm here on behalf of all of our members. Next slide. We represent over 900 Region of Waterloo inside workers across every department. The purpose of the presentation today is to outline how hybrid policies support the region's strategic goals and to share our members' feedback on hybrid work. So why now? The region recently announced a shift to 3 in-office days per week for management and management support staff starting December 1st, 2025. We conducted a survey to understand how a similar change would affect our members. Next slide. Hybrid work has been in place since the pandemic and has proven to be successful. Currently, the hybrid norm is 2 days per week in office for our members, and the region-wide goals are service excellence, sustainability, and employee well-being, which aligns with maintaining flexibility in hybrid work. Next slide, please. Across Canada, hybrid work remains a strong and stable trend. In 2025, 28% of new job postings were hybrid, showing continued demand for flexibility. Major cities are leading the shift, such as Toronto, Montreal, Calgary, and Ottawa. Overall, the data shows that hybrid work is the norm across Canada, not the exception. Next slide, please. The region's strategic plan emphasizes working smarter and saving money, and hybrid work has played a major role in achieving these goals. Since 2019, the region has saved $40.5 million in operating costs through efficiency measures. A major contributor was downsizing office space by 41,000 square feet, which has saved $1.2 million every year in tax dollars and avoids over $100 million in costs over 20 years. Hybrid work supports these savings. Increasing mandatory in-office days risks reversing many of these gains and can lead to higher operational costs. Next slide. Hybrid work directly supports the region's climate action plan. First, it reduces transportation emissions, avoiding a 40-kilometer on average commute slightly lower CO2. Second, it optimizes building energy use. Fewer people on site means less utilities, which supports the region's energy efficient goals. Third, it supports sustainable operations by using office space more efficiently. And finally, hybrid work builds resilience by ensuring continuity during disruptions while reducing overall environmental impacts. Next slide. To understand the real impacts of increasing in office days for our members, we surveyed our membership. So 439 of our members responded. Of these, 90% currently work in hybrid work arrangements, and most work in office on average 2 days per week. Next slide. Over half of our respondents told us their productivity would decrease if more in-office days were required. A few of the top reasons: fewer distractions at home, noise, temperature interruptions, confidentiality concerns in open office space, 40% lack assigned desks at workstations, proximity to home allows for better time management, and many have completed major projects entirely remotely. Next slide. Our members noted concerns mainly about office space ergonomics and air quality, spread of seasonal illness and limited private meeting areas, uneven application of hybrid policies across departments leading to inequity. Hybrid flexibility supports inclusion and accessibility for employees with health, caregiving, or transportation challenges. Next slide. So our workday and commute impacts: 49% of our members say more in-office days would extend their workday into unpaid time, increase fuel, parking, and vehicle wear, less time for family, community, and wellness. And the environmental impacts, with over 900 people driving 40 kilometers a day, that's 36,000 kilometers of commuting every day, over 9 million kilometers a year, and more than 2,100 tons of extra emissions that are not needed. Increased commuting contradicts the region's commitments to reduce emissions and operate more efficiently. Next slide.
Jeremy, 1 minute remaining.
Hybrid flexibility delivers real benefits. It helps us keep and attract staff, support strong service delivery, and improve business continuity. It also cuts commuting emissions, aligns with modern workspaces standards, and saves taxpayer dollars through smarter use of space. In short, hybrid work is practical strategy that boosts efficiency, sustainability, and equity. So finally, our recommendations. Before I close, we have 3 recommendations: that Regional Council endorse maintaining hybrid flexibility for all applicable regional employees, that staff and union representatives be involved in any hybrid policy revisions, and that decisions be guided by evidence, including our survey data. As a final note, supporting hybrid flexibility is only in the best interest of employees, but also strengthens the region's ability to deliver high-quality services, reduce environmental impacts, and use taxpayer resources wisely. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see no questions, but thank you for delegating.
Okay, thank you.
Next delegation is Gabriella Kalapos, Climate Action Partnership, formerly Clean Air Partnership.
Thank you, Chair Redmond. Can you hear me okay?
We can. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. And if it's possible to pull up the presentation, that would be great, but if not, no worries. Oh, perfect. Thank you. So hi, everybody. Thank you very much to council members for allowing me time on your busy agenda to speak to the municipal franchise agreement and the recommendation that Region of Waterloo not approve the Meadow franchise agreement. And I'll get to what the other recommendation is at the end. Next slide, please. My name is Gabriella, and I'm from the Climate Action Partnership. We're a charitable environmental organization. We work with municipalities to help them implement their climate action commitments. Municipalities are going to be facing a big brunt of the financial burden associated with climate change. There's no doubt that all levels of government will be facing a financial brunt from the impacts of climate change that we're already experiencing now, and which is only going to get worse as we move into the future. But in particular, municipalities, because of the sheer amount of infrastructure that they are responsible for, are going to be taking a bigger brunt of that burden. In addition, they don't have the revenue generation opportunities that are available to other levels of government. So the municipalities really are at the leading edge on terms of the impacts from climate change. Next slide, please. So one of the areas of this is that this came to this municipal franchise agreement. Totally understand that it's nothing that's exciting. It doesn't really get people's juices flowing in terms of opportunities and what this all means. But it really is important. And the main reason it's important, this issue came to our attention when we found out that some municipalities were charging low carbon utilities for access to the right of way. And we asked, okay, so how does this relate to how Enbridge is treated? Is there fairness there? And it turns out that the municipalities told us that they can't charge Enbridge for use of the right of way. And then we asked, okay, but if you can't charge Enbridge, why are you charging the low carbon utilities? And many of them mentioned that they had actual costs associated with having this infrastructure in the right of way, and that it wasn't fair for the taxpayers, municipal taxpayers, to take on that burden. So one of the key critical things we're trying to do is level the playing field to create a fair level of burden across Enbridge, low carbon utilities, and municipalities, so that all are treated fairly and that the costs are allocated appropriately. So next slide, please. As you can see, Ontario is a bit of an anomaly in that municipalities in Ontario aren't able to charge Enbridge for use of the right-of-way, whereas in other jurisdictions, municipalities are. That's the case in British Columbia, where they are able, in certain municipalities, they charge about 3% of all gas revenues to pay for the municipal, for the entity's use in the municipal right-of-way. In Alberta, it's very different in the sense that there's a significant charge attached to the delivery of natural gas in the municipal right-of-way. Saskatchewan also, municipality, the Regina is able to charge for municipal use, for utility use of the right-of-way. That case is also occurs in Manitoba as well as in Nova Scotia. So Ontario is a bit of an anomaly in here, forcing municipalities not to charge Enbridge for use of the right-of-way. And next slide, please. So really, when we asked municipalities what were the costs associated with having this infrastructure in the right-of-way, they said one of the main costs that they raised is to have to use human labor in terms of digging out areas where they would normally have been using the equipment to be able to do that. That adds a lot of labor costs, and that was one of the main costs. They also said it was very hard to calculate exactly what those costs are, but those were some of the costs that municipalities raised associated with having this infrastructure in the right-of-way. We also know that the OEB acknowledged that pipelines, in natural gas pipelines, are facing a growing stranded asset risk, and Enbridge is able to abandon its infrastructure in the municipal right-of-way without any municipal approval on that. So that's also an issue. Next slide, please. Ultimately, we really wanted to highlight, yes, in terms of the affordability implications, the revenue from the right-of-way can be used to help address fairness in terms of helping people move off the fossil fuel rate base, or advance energy efficiency, or advance the implementation of the Region of Waterloo's community missions and energy plan. There's opportunities. Really what we're trying to do is ensure that there's increased fairness between fossil fuel and low carbon energy providers, while also addressing the stranded asset risk for the rate base as well, and municipal taxpayers. And next slide, please. So ultimately, the recommendation is to help improve the level playing field between fossil fuel and low carbon options. These resolutions for updating the model franchise agreement to allow municipalities to charge utilities in the right way have been passed in Ottawa, Toronto, Guelph, London, and Kawartha Lakes. Climate Action Partnership recommends the staff recommendation not to approve the model franchise agreement, and then in addition, that council advocate to amend the Municipal Act to update the model franchise agreement so that Ontario municipalities can charge fair compensation for private utilities in the municipal right-of-way. In addition, also recommending the Region of Waterloo also express its support for an update to the model franchise agreement to remove the ability for private utilities to abandon infrastructure in the municipal right-of-way without approval from the municipality. I sincerely thank you for your time in this agenda, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you. We have some questions. Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, Gabby, thank you so much for coming in. I want to thank you for sharing this important information with us, and for the information that you've been able to share in this presentation, and those in the community that have been able to share with us over the past week. This is a really interesting topic, and wanted to thank you for your support of what's in front of us later in the agenda for the report. And it's really interesting and pretty in the weeds topic, and so I appreciate you summarizing it in a pretty easy to consume way. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Hi, Gabby. Nice to see you. Thanks very much for putting together this presentation and providing some additional education on this issue. I'm curious if in the research you've done, if you've learned why Enbridge was ever allowed free access to the right-of-way in the first place, and to be and allowed to leave their decommissioned pipes. Do you know why that is, or do you?
Yeah, I don't have any clue in terms of the actual thinking for why that occurred. I could take some speculative guesses relating to it, was that the stranded asset risk wasn't something that was in the past going to be that big an issue. There was always, I guess, people were recognizing that, they were thinking like this was when they were installed 50 years ago or anything, that the stranded asset risk wasn't something that was hanging over our head with an energy transition coming our way. Maybe it was more appropriate for that at that point in time when there wasn't risks to the municipality of abandonment, or there wasn't other alternatives for providing people their energy needs. But I think at this stage of the game, we are facing a stranded asset risk. The rest of the world is moving forward on this energy transition. I really would hope Ontario moves forward on this energy transition as well. I would much rather Ontario be a participant in this merging low carbon economy than just a consumer of other jurisdictions' low carbon economy that we bring here. And I think that's one of the areas why the Ontario Energy Board made the ruling, the previous ruling, I think in 2023, when they said that the rate base should not subsidize fossil fuel infrastructure to new developments, that those pipelines should pay for growth, just like other municipal infrastructure, and that principle. I think the OEB wasn't thinking about it from a climate perspective. They were thinking about it from a stranded asset perspective. And as we're moving forward, and it takes 40 years for delivery charges to pay back the rate base for this infrastructure investment, we don't believe that there will be these people on the fossil fuel pipeline for 40 years. And then chances are the next time their furnace comes off, they're going to move off. They're going to move to an air source heat pump, which is more efficient and provides more comfortable heating. There's opportunities for them to move off the rate base now, which then puts that stranded asset risk onto the rate base, which we really do need to start considering, and to protect the rate base from that. Because if we don't, we face a risk where people can afford to get off the fossil fuel rate base, will get off the fossil fuel rate base, and the ones who are left on it are the ones who can't afford to get off, and they're going to face an increased burden associated with that stranded asset risk. So I think in the past, it wasn't something that was a concern, but it's definitely something that's a concern because of these changes in the energy system that we're moving towards.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Foxton.
This is not for the speaker. It's just a comment. May I make the comment?
Go ahead.
So it's not just Union Gas or energy, but it's Bell, it's Rogers, and a lot of the farming people can tell you they go right through their farms and they don't get a say for it. One farmer said, "You're putting the things through for mobile phones, but you let cover my phone." No, they wouldn't. They wanted money. Another senior Rogers went through her yard, and she said, "Will you hook me up?" And they said, "Yeah, pay us $80,000." So this is a practice in Ontario that's really quite interesting, that it just encroaches on people's property without those people having any rights or says. Thank you.
Thank you. We will be dealing with the report later on. Next delegation is Madhav Garg from Waterloo. Welcome. Come to the podium, and you have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon. This is on? Yeah. Yeah. Good afternoon, Council. My name is Madhav Garg, and I'm also a student at WCI. I would like to say that I'm absolutely thrilled. So last time I came in, I was not this positive, but it's okay. So I'm absolutely thrilled with the fact that y'all are actually going forward, or likely to go forward, with the ion expansion and actually considering it, unlike a lot of municipalities are moving forward. But I'm really proud of our region for having a coherent public transport network, even if it's not as fast as driving yet, but it's still really amazing, and I really appreciate that. And I would like to express my full support for Ion Stage 2. But I would also like to say that, as far as I've heard, there's also been a lot of backlash in Cambridge against Ion Stage 2. So I was thinking, like, as far as I know, in Kitchener-Waterloo, there was a very positive reaction to that. And we do have bus routes that are becoming overcrowded. So if we can also look into further expansion of that also, especially because I just feel like we should have more light rail around our region. And if that's not quite a possibility yet, I would greatly appreciate if we could put in some signal priority. So normally when I get home from school, I am often stuck for about 5 to 8 minutes at this single red light in my bus, which is always overcrowded. I've not been able to get on the bus several times because of how ridiculously overcrowded it has been. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Thanks very much for coming in tonight. I'm curious if you chose your shirt because you care about transit and active transportation. For those who can't see, it's got a bicycle on it, but anyway, it matches very well with what your remarks. I'm just wanted to say thanks for coming in. Similar to Reed, who's a younger member of our community, it really is good to see people. I think you said you're in high school at WCI, so it is really heartening to see younger people paying attention to local politics and coming to let us know what your concerns are. And we don't too often get a whole lot of like, way to go, you guys are doing great. So thank you for letting us know that you appreciate the work that has already happened on LRT and GRT, but what the work that we're doing going forward as well. So no question for you, but just wanted to really say thanks. I appreciate you coming in.
I would just like to say that it's absolutely amazing. Like, especially if I think our LRT got built before like the Eglinton line. Like, at least we're getting something done. Yeah. At least it's possible.
We're not going to have a quinceanera party for the crosstown, like the crosstown,
at least
Eglinton crosstown. Reasonably. We'll have it built maybe before they have that one finished.
But like one thing I would like to say though, like I would have loved to take the LRT to this council meeting today. It's just most convenient with my bike especially. But again, drivers keep crashing into it. I don't know why this happens. I don't know if there's something we can do about it. But like, out of the past 3 times I wanted to take the LRT, twice there's been a crash. Like, there's been a service disruption. I was lucky enough that I had other options, or the train actually eventually came, but...
We have Councillor Hunick.
Yes. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your experience. Run for office as soon as you're old enough.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we're now going to move on to the minutes of previous meetings. I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes under 8.1 to 8.12. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Wolf, seconded by Councillor Erb.
Chair.
Councillor Harris.
I'm trying to figure out how to raise my hand here on this thing, but I do have a question with regards to report 8.5. I don't know if you can pull that out separately. Or we'll get to that at another time, will we?
Okay, we're not on the summary yet. We're just
okay.
We're just approving the minutes right now, but we'll flag that when we get to the summary.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
So it's been moved and seconded. Please use your e-scribe to vote unless you're Councillor Harris, and then you can just put your hand up. And Councillor Craig.
No, I've got her. I've got it, and we're good now here, I think.
Councillor Craig, you're in favor? Thank you. Colleagues, that is carried. The next agenda item, number 9.1, is the communications package, which you have all received electronically, as well as some correspondence from the Greater Kitchener-Waterloo Chamber of Commerce. If there are no questions on the correspondent items, I would now entertain a motion to go into Committee of the Whole to consider reports. Moved by Councillor McCabe, seconded by Councillor Hunick. Please use your e-scribe to cast a ballot. Colleagues, that is carried. The next report is 11.1, the finance report. This is an increase. It's for snow removal and disposal of Central, Heidelberg, and Phillipsburg patrol areas. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Please use your e-scribe to vote. That is carried, colleagues. The next agenda item is library headquarters roof replacement. There is a motion. There's part A and B. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor James, seconded by Councillor Nowak.
Chair, this is for the library, correct?
This is for the library.
Okay, thank you.
Please use your e-scribe. Do you want me to read the motion? Okay. Councillor Craig, are you in favor of this motion? Thank you. Colleagues, that is carried. Now we're coming to committee reports. Sustainability, Infrastructure and Development Committee Summary, November 4th, 2025. And I believe, Councillor Harris, this is where you had a question about number 5, if I believe.
I'm just scrolling to it here. It keeps bouncing all over the place, but it is the
number 1.
Yeah, it's a green buildings agenda item. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's 1 and under 1A. Do you want to take that separately? Or do you have a
Yeah, and I got a couple questions if I can pose those now, or you let me know when the time is appropriate.
Okay, I'm going to ask. Okay, can we move and second it so it's on the floor? Moved by Councillor Gowing, seconded by Councillor Verbanich. Now go ahead, Councillor Harris.
Okay, so I likely didn't get the right questions out in committee, so I'll ask them now. Going through the report, obviously, in the last couple of days with operating and capital, it speaks to a 2019 report prepared by CAGBC that the capital cost premium to go into this category for green buildings for any new buildings in the region would be up to 8%. There would be an 8% premium. Now, obviously, our own experience with 2 new Waterloo Region housing buildings suggests that the cost premium may range from 10 to 15% greater than LEED silver, which is obviously our standard now. I'm wondering, Commissioner Rose, if you want to take a stab at the fact that do you believe we're going to see, that range in addition to what we're paying now for new facilities, or is there? Have you guys kind of figured what that range might be, or is that kind of what we're looking at for a premium to go to this certification?
Commissioner Rose, is this
Thank you.
a question you can entertain?
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to Councillor Harris. So, what we've experienced through our building projects so far, with respect to the zero carbon buildings design standard, is that premium that's in the report, and we're attributing it to supply chain issues, inflation, that kind of thing. We don't think it's an ongoing increase of that magnitude. We will be, though, if council accepts this or approves this design standard, monitoring that as part of our building process. The one thing staff did tell me, though, is that for the investment that we make in these buildings and how sophisticated these standards are with respect to net zero, that we'll actually see from a maintenance perspective a return on this investment of about 3%. So it'll either come out as 0 or 3%. So over the long run, after this building is built, the maintenance costs will be quite a bit lower because of the way it was designed. So that piece there is also something for council's consideration, the operating costs of the building.
Councillor Harris.
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, do you have further questions?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a question, but I think I'm going to ask if I could, I was going to entertain a deferral of this item. I would say to you here, looking at, we just finished capital planning today in our Administration and Finance Committee, and, there will likely be an impact, in fact, to the 2026 capital plan, which, frankly, this item likely should have come at that stage or been a part of that process, frankly. I know we try to avoid, outside of the budgetary process, us approving items that actually impact either operating or capital. And this, based on the report of at least 8%, with actually no number attributed to 2026 capital, other than the fact that you may use contingency in projects, could have some impacts. And I just think that perhaps we need a bit more time, especially, today when we're deferring actual affordable housing projects because of the capital costs themselves. We could be adding, up to 10+% more by enhancing the standard on top of the LEED certification that we already have. We already have a pretty good standard as it is, and to increase capital costs for new buildings, I think of the regional police communications building. There's potentially 8 to 10 million in itself. These affordable housing projects just may not be great candidates for this standard, and we're basically blanket saying that all new buildings will have to have this standard. So, I am going to propose or ask for a deferral motion on this item so that it can be either part of the budget process or following it, even ahead of next year. So I'll put that forward, Chair, and I'll let it go.
Okay, so Councillor Harris, you are asking for this to be deferred, and I'm going to suggest that it would come back to Council in January after budget.
Yeah, I think after budget would be appropriate, and even include it for the next budget process. It won't have an impact to 2025 already. So approving this item tonight will have no impact in 2025, which is good. There is an impact in 2026 that we actually haven't attributed any number to. And I think based on the capital program that we may pass as a council for the budget process, we'll have a better idea what the actual impacts of this measure may be in 2026 and in future years. So I would say at least until after the budget, but I think it's appropriate that we work with finance and the sustainability committee to bring that back at an appropriate time when they have a better number actually of what this could cost.
Okay, so I'm going to, and Councillor Verbanovich is happy to second that deferral, and the deferral will be to a council meeting in January 2026.
I would say just sometime in 2026.
Okay. We need a time in place, so let's say
first
half.
First half.
I'm going to suggest that we defer it to...
I'm going to miss the January meeting, so that's why I'm suggesting that.
Oh. Okay. So the clerk needs a meeting, so let's say...
March?
Okay. So this will
It's a long holiday.
Council meeting in March. Councillor Pervanovich, are you...
I'll be back in February.
I feel like we're negotiating here. So there is a deferral on the floor that this recommendation would be deferred till March 2026. And it's been seconded, so I have a speakers list. So speaking to the deferral, Councillor Hunick, did you want to speak to the deferral?
Yes, I will speak to the deferral. Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to support the deferral because I think that these standards were recommended to us because they're in line with our climate mitigation and adaptation strategy, and I do think that climate emergencies to come will inevitably cost more money. So I will not be supporting the deferral.
Thank you. Councillor Salonen, did you want to speak to the deferral, or do you want me to come back to you?
To the deferral-ish, in that I'm wondering if the deferral motion could actually be that it goes back to committee in March so that more debate and conversation can happen, and that it includes the information that I requested at committee of staff regarding these green standards.
So that could be an amendment to the amendment, or if we have unanimous consent, it would come back to a committee meeting. Do I see everybody's in agreement? I don't have unanimous consent. Councillor Saladin, do you want to amend the amendment?
Yes, please.
And your amendment would be that it would come back to a committee meeting in March 2026, correct?
Yes, to give a valid time and place. And that it would include the information that I had requested at the prior committee meeting.
So Councillor Verbanovich, you look like you're going to second that
I
one
think
too?
Councillor Gowing offered.
Councillor Gowing is going to second that one. Okay, so now we're speaking to the amendment to the amendment. Councillor Verbanovich, did you want to speak to this?
Thanks. Well, I'm obviously going to support this and to the timing because I think it's important that we have all of the information on this issue so that we're making good decisions. I mean, I'm a big supporter of this work. But fundamentally, we also need to look at some of our fiscal realities. And if the choice is we have people continuing to sleep in the rough and we can't afford to build housing, or maybe we need to make some adjustments here, I would prefer to put people under roofs. But I think that's a debate that we need to, that's a conversation we need to have.
Speaking to the deferral or the amendment to the amendment, Councillor Wolf, did you want to speak to it?
I actually had a question about it.
About the deferral?
Well, I guess it's about the whole thing. If we defer this, does the silver standard stay during the deferral, or is there then no standard?
Commissioner Rose, I will let you respond.
Through the chair, yes, to Councillor Wolf, this standard was to replace the silver lead standard. So if this is not approved today, then the silver lead standard is what we will continue to use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have no speakers, so what we're voting on now is a deferral.
Sorry, Chair, I just wanted to make sure my amendment also included the information I had requested of staff at committee come back with this. Because I had asked information of staff that regarding the differences between the two standards, and I think that's pretty important to make the decision.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to read the amendment, and that is included. Okay. Commissioner Rose, you're nodding.
I think so. I wasn't quite sure what the question was. So the requested information from Councillor Salonen was sent through an email to all of council, so I can...
Yes, I more so meant just bringing it forward like in the report that's presented.
Right, so maybe we can add it as an attachment or an appendix to the report.
Yep, that's fine. I'm just thinking March is a while away from when you guys have sent it, because that was last month that you sent it.
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely easy to do.
So that has been added. I'm going to read what we're voting on for everybody's benefit. So that the amendment be amended to read that the Regional Municipality of Waterloo defer the motion discussed under item 11.2.1 to SID on March 10th, 2026, along with requested information.
It's one of those days, I guess.
This is what we're voting on right now. So I'm going to suggest that we take the vote. This is on the amendment.
I have a procedural question on that. I'm on the list.
Councillor McCabe.
So I just want to thank you, Chair, and it's to clerks. I just want to understand the procedure that we're going through here. So we've discussed this at committee and approved it. I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. And so it's coming here, and now there's a request to go back to committee to review the same information. And so I'm just worried that, and questioning, so why is that a process that we can go through? Because does that not like open us up to then start to go, well, hold on, I want to take I mean, pick another issue. Can we go back to committee again? And can we go back to committee again? I just want to make sure that this is not opening some kind of strange precedent.
So we're in the clerk's hands, and they're very capable hands, so I'm going to let him respond.
Thank you.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor McCabe, you've hit the point exactly. Council meetings are designed to be, in a way, a second look at things. So these summaries from the committees, these are the recommendations from, in this case, the SID committee is recommending that council make these approvals. Nothing is approved until council makes the approval. So in this case, by deferring it back to the committee, should that be what happens, council is sending it back to the SID committee, of which all of council are members, but is sending it back to the SID committee for a second look. In the case of a situation where we had multiple committees that all of council wasn't members on, it would be sending it back to a smaller group to look at. But in this case, it's council sending it back to SID for a look. And yes, it could happen with all of these. That is the purpose of the summaries that are listed on the council agenda.
But okay, thanks for that. But why doesn't it go back to the next council meeting? Why does it go back to another committee and then we have to go through this process twice? Like, why doesn't it just go to the next council meeting?
That was not the direction of the motion.
I know, but I'm like, but shouldn't it just?
I can answer that.
But because we're at council, shouldn't it just go to a council meeting? And
So again, we're going to go back to the clerk.
So it goes to the time and place laid out in the motion. So if Councillor Harris is, so if the motion would be to defer it to September of 2026, that would be the motion set out. In this case, it's March. It could be the next council meeting, which has regularly happened, because that would be the next expedient time to deal with an issue. But if more time is needed, which is what councillors have said in this case, that's the time that people are asking to deal with it.
I can also answer why I requested it go to committee and not council, like the First Amendment.
No, I'm really just curious about
I think,
the process here, because
Thank you.
this is not something that I've seen happen, and I just, like I said, was worried about is this a procedural or a precedence? I mean, that we may
It isn't
accidentally
precedent
set.
setting, and basically we're acting like the Senate. So this is the chamber of sober second thought, and we've decided we want to give it a further thought. So everybody has two options here. You can vote for this or against this, and then we will go back to the motion. Councillor Harris, did you want to weigh in, or is that a legacy?
Just on the amendment, with the regards to things. I mean, look, again, we're, in light of the more recent conversations around capital specifically, and the fact that this actually has capital implications with really no monetary number attached to it, that would be new information for me that maybe I overlooked at the committee. And I think that the committee is the right forum to actually deal with this, so that, perhaps the report, the time that we can take between now and then, the report can come back to committee that would actually contain that specific financial information that this council should have. Again, we'll default to the lead standard. And I guess my question to staff, and I think this is important, is, we talked about, projects that are ready to tender, but I mean, I don't know if staff can answer us, how many buildings actually do they anticipate that will go to the street for tender in the next 3 months?
So I'm going to suggest that this is getting into debate. We're dealing with an amendment, and I'm going to call the question. Councillor Hunick, you had a question for the clerk.
I think it's an easy question for staff to answer.
Go ahead.
Through the chair, how many times can a councillor send a motion back to committee?
So through you to Councillor Hunick, so a councillor cannot send anything back to a committee. Council is the ones who are sending it back to a committee, and that would be council's prerogative. At some point, my advice to council would be, if you're not happy, just defeat it and stop dealing with the same issue repeatedly. But that would depend on how many times it was happening. But it's council's prerogative, it's council's motion. If you want to send things back to committee, council can do that as many times as council would like.
And I'm hoping that this isn't a new pattern. So I'm going to, it's been moved and seconded, so I'm going to call the question. Are we all clear on what we're voting on? Thank you. Please cast your ballot. So colleagues, now we're voting on the deferral. The amendment carries. We're just giving clerks 30 seconds for the motion that we are now going to be voting on for deferral.
I heard that, sorry.
So we're now voting on a deferral motion that has been moved and seconded. And it's that the Regional Municipality of Waterloo defer the motion discussed under item 11.2.1 to SID on March 10th, 2026, along with the requested information. So I would ask you to please vote on this deferral motion. Councillor Craig, are you in favor or opposed to this motion?
I'm sorry, in favor. I'm trying to indicate that in some manner here.
Colleagues, that carries. So the rest of the recommendations 2 and 3, and they have subsections, have been moved and seconded. So I would ask, if we have no speakers, could you please vote on this, on these? Colleagues, that is passed. 11.2.2 is Administration and Finance Committee Summary, November the 4th, 2025.
Yeah, it never came up. It just kept saying, waiting for voting in progress. So, but
How
I'm a
would you
yes.
like to be recorded?
Yes.
Madam Chair, could I just at the beginning of the vote, it says vote split at the top of the motion? I'm asking the question.
Through your chair. So the reason it says vote split is because the original vote had been set up with as a bulk, and we split the original motion for the 3 items so we could deal with item 1 separately.
Okay, we're all on the same page, right? So now we have the Finance and Administration Committee Summary. Everybody's been voted. That last motion carried. There are 2 sections under this. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Wolf, seconded by Councillor Gowing. See no speakers, so could you please use eScribe to vote? Councillor Craig, is that a vote in favor?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. That carries. Councillor Harris, I couldn't tell if you were voting or doing a happy dance there. Next agenda item 11.2.3 is Community and Health Services Summary, November the 4th, 2025. There are 3 sections under this. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Rodriguez, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that carries. 11.2.4 is the Library Committee Summary, November the 13th, 2025. There are 2 recommendations with subsections under here. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Gowing, seconded by Councillor Nowak. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that is carried. Next agenda item 11.2.5 is Licensing and Hearings Summary, November 13th, 2025. There is 1 recommendation with 3 subsections. Councillor Salonen, would you like to move this?
I actually just had a question about it.
Okay.
I was just curious on the per accessibility. So the incentive is only from the evening times and it's just to have more accessible vehicles? Is that what I was correct in understanding of the summary of this?
I'm going to turn to the clerk.
So through your chair to Councillor Salonen. So there are a few incentives with respect to the accessibility program. So there are subsidies for retrofitting vehicles. Currently, the subsidy for the per trip ride is $5 per every trip. The proposal under the new bylaw is that subsidy between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. would go up to $10, but it would remain at $5 for the rest of the day.
Okay, perfect. That answers my question. Thank you. And yes, I'm fine to move it, Chair.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Salonen, seconded by Councillor Erb. Councillor Hunick, do you have a question?
I just want to note that this report will also be sent to committee for budget deliveries as well, around whether or not the fees should be staying the same or raised.
Okay, you're just
I just wanted to harken back to our discussion earlier today or yesterday. I don't know. It's blurry. Council colleagues possibly suggested that the auxiliary taxi fee be increased.
Okay, so there's a related budget discussion outside of this one, but so we'll pass this one today, and there will be further discussion during budget about alternative ride sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what I meant.
Thank you. Okay, so stay tuned, more to come. It's been moved and seconded. Those are all the speakers. Please cast your ballot. Colleagues, that carries. Next up, 11.3.1 is Board of Health update, and I will turn the floor over to Dr. Shuli Wong, Commissioner of Public Health and Paramedic Services, to provide the Board of Health update. Welcome, Dr. Wong.
Thank you, and good evening, Chair Redmond and members of Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present a Board of Health update with information about influenza, COVID, and RSV vaccines, and our annual enforcement of the Immunization of School Pupils Act. With the onset of the fall respiratory season, we expect to see an increase in local cases of respiratory illness. With regards to influenza, influenza can sometimes be severe, resulting in a hospital stay and medical complications, especially among seniors, young children, pregnant persons, and people with chronic health conditions. Getting your influenza vaccine is the best way to keep you and your loved ones safe and healthy during the winter months ahead. Influenza vaccines are free of charge and available to everyone 6 months of age and older who lives, works, or goes to school in Ontario. Influenza and COVID vaccines may be available at primary care providers and participating pharmacies. Availability may vary. Please call ahead to ensure your healthcare provider has supply before going. You may get both your COVID and influenza vaccines at the same time. Children 5 years of age and younger who do not have an Ontario Health Card or healthcare provider can get the influenza and COVID vaccines at a public health clinic. Please see our website for more information. Regarding RSV, good news, Ontario has expanded eligibility for RSV vaccination. RSV, or respiratory syncytial virus, is a respiratory illness that affects the lungs and airways. It can be severe in infants, young children, and older adults. The RSV vaccine is now available to all residents 75 and older, as well as adults 60 to 74 years of age who meet specific high-risk criteria, infants up to 8 months old during their first RSV season or vaccination during pregnancy, children up to 24 months who are at increased risk, and pregnant women. If you are eligible to receive an RSV vaccine, please contact your healthcare provider to check availability. Infants, high-risk children, and adults 75 years and above who do not have an Ontario Health Card, or healthcare provider can get an RSV vaccine at a public health clinic. Again, please see our website for more details on that. And finally, tonight, as part of our ongoing vigilance and health protection efforts, we will begin again conducting our annual enforcement of the Immunization of School Pupils Act. This act requires children enrolled in publicly funded schools to be vaccinated for 9 diseases, including diphtheria, polio, tetanus, pertussis, measles, mumps, rubella, varicella, also known as chickenpox, and meningococcal disease. This year, we will be working with secondary schools first, followed by elementary schools. This is a change to the order of our approach from previous years and is designed to improve efficiencies by focusing our public health resources where the volume is the highest with the elementary school updates. Letters will be going out in the next couple of weeks to secondary school families where vaccine records are not up to date or we do not have vaccine records on file. This year, secondary school students will be suspended starting April 9th if they have not provided their up-to-date records or exemptions. Elementary school suspensions will begin on May the 7th. Thank you for providing me with an opportunity to provide an update, and I would be happy to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Dr. Wong, how much does the RSV cost, the vaccine?
It's free if you're 75.
What if you don't? I'm not 75,
you don't have
sorry.
it. I don't know the exact cost, but there are several health plans that would cover it. But it would have to be paid either by the client or another health insurance plan.
Okay, but you said you provided it? The region provides it at?
We provide it for those that either
that
don't
meet the
have a primary
criteria.
care provider or don't have an Ontario Health Card.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor James.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Dr. Wang, thank you so much for the update. I do have a question regarding Canada losing the measles elimination status. And, you know, how does that happen, if you can explain that? And, you know, in terms of our region, are we still seeing cases of measles? Is that something to be concerned about? But very, very conscious of losing that status and, you know, how that happens.
Yeah. No, thank you for the question, Councillor James. So that was expected because we had transmission across multiple areas in Canada, and it had been going on for at least 12 months. So even though Ontario's outbreak has ended, and we have not had cases since the summer, there are still some areas in Canada that are experiencing outbreaks. And so once you have duration of you know, transmission that continues across the country for 12 or more months, that's what usually happens, is you lose that elimination status. Now, you can also regain the status if there's been 12 months of no continual transmission. So I would say that in our region, it doesn't really change the risk profile of our region. The most important thing is, you know, to keep up the immunizations of our children, and that is really the best defense against sustained outbreaks. I mean, there's likely going to be isolated cases, and there may even be clusters of cases, especially among populations that are unimmunized or underimmunized. But in terms of sustained, ongoing outbreaks that have tendency to grow larger, the best defense against that really is keeping up the level of childhood immunizations. So I think, you know, since we've really caught up with all the immunizations since the pandemic had lower, since the period of the pandemic where they, you know, had gotten lower, we're regionally, we're in a state now like we were pre-pandemic in terms of relatively high rates of immunizations among school children. So we're happy about that, and so that's good. But that's also the reason we need to maintain the annual enforcement process to keep it where it needs to be.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Wong, and thank you, Councillor James, for that question. I wondered what the answer was, too. Colleagues, there is an appointment to a board. A vacancy exists on the Grand River Conservation Authority Board. Councillor Gowing has indicated he would be willing to serve on GRCA. So, Councillor Gowing, is that correct? Are you willing to serve?
Yes, that's correct.
I would ask for somebody to move the following motion, that the Regional Municipality of Waterloo makes the following appointment for the remainder of the 2022-2026 term of Regional Council, that Councillor Joe Gowing to the Grand River Conservation Authority Board, and the Regional Clerk be directed to take necessary actions to implement this appointment. Moved by Councillor Bravanovich, seconded by Councillor Nowak. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that carries. Councillor Gowing, thank you very much for taking on this added responsibility. And I know there's been a little bit of disruption and a little bit of flux around conservation authorities, but I have it on good authority that our conservation authority is one of the best. So you'll be joining a team that has been very effective over the years. So congratulations, and again, thank you for agreeing to serve in that capacity. Colleagues, other matters under the Committee of the Whole is a new franchise agreement on Enbridge Gas Incorporated. And I'm going to ask for Commissioner Regier to speak to this report.
Thank you very much, Chair Redmond. So I'll provide some introductory remarks, and Fiona McRae, our regional solicitor, will provide a little bit of additional detail. And we have Liam Leggett, our solicitor, who's been working on this file, and Megan Eastwood, our manager of planning and sustainability, who's also been leading the direct analysis on this project, available for questions. So the model franchise agreement established by the Ontario Energy Board governs how Enbridge Gas may use municipal rights-of-way to install and maintain gas infrastructure. The OEB sets out a 20-year term for all municipal gas franchise agreements. The region's MFA with Enbridge Gas is now up for renewal. This report seeks council approval to request changes to the agreement. The proposed updates would clarify cost-sharing responsibilities, recognize newer infrastructure such as multi-use trails, improve data sharing for asset management, and allow the region to recover fair costs for the use of public property. The OEB has just announced plans for a generic hearing in 2026 to review and potentially update the model franchise agreement, which is the first comprehensive review in 2 decades. Staff are also requesting approval to participate in this generic hearing. I will say that we've had high-level contact with Enbridge on this matter. We've also exchanged information about the report that's with us here. Liam and Megan and one of our other staff members have been in contact with their peers across all of the area municipalities, and our CAO has flagged it with his counterparts in Cambridge and Woolwich in particular. So we've had some conversation with our area municipalities, municipal colleagues on this, and we understand that with the exception of Woolwich and Cambridge, the renewal of this agreement isn't something that's pending in the near future. So over to you, Ms. McRae.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I'll provide a little more detail on the proposed changes that staff are recommending, and this is based on 20-plus years of experience under the municipal franchise agreement as region works through its various projects. One of the changes would be to expand the definition of highway to ensure that all parts of the right-of-way are captured, so this would be things like multi-use trails, which are widely used now. Requiring Enbridge to share detailed engineering drawings of their infrastructure to enable the region to maintain accurate records for mapping and asset management systems. To seek clarifications regarding the use of the words remove, relocate, and decommission. And these are important because these are the terms used in the sections that address cost sharing between the municipality and Enbridge in terms of when it's necessary for them to either decommission or remove or relocate their infrastructure in the region's road allowance. Clarifying the project engineering and project administrative costs listed in the agreement are limited to actual costs incurred to reduce the financial exposure of the region. Currently, it's simply a flat percentage of all the costs. And changing the date in Section 18 for when a request for infrastructure owned by Enbridge needs to be removed or replaced, where Enbridge would be 100% responsible for the cost. Presently, it's 1981, so infrastructure older than 1981, they would be required to pay the full cost. That's been the same date in the model franchise agreement for over 20 years. So staff are suggesting, given all of the infrastructures continued to age, that date be advanced by 20 years. The other change relates to there has been a bill submitted at the Legislative Assembly, and other municipalities are in favor of a change to regulations under the Municipal Act that would allow municipalities to charge fees for for-profit entities such as Enbridge to use regional lands for their services. So the proposed amendment would allow for the region to do that should that amendment be made. So that's a brief overview of the changes.
Thank you. Councillor Brbanovich.
Thanks very much, and for the overview. This is potentially something that's quite significant both for us at the region and the area municipalities. I did check with our staff, our senior leadership, and they weren't aware of this issue. And they also checked with our director of utilities, and they weren't aware of connection and dialogue with the region on it either. And so in light of the fact that this agreement we heard is, I believe it was May of 2026 that it's completed, my understanding is there's a area CAOs meeting either this week or next week. So I'd like, sorry? Next week? Okay, so in light of that, I'd actually like to move a deferral on this issue and direct it to the area CAOs meeting so that so they can have an opportunity to consider this and provide recommendations not only to regional council but also to the area councils on this issue. If they can't deal with it at that meeting, then I guess their next meeting, maybe Mr. Getsky can indicate, I believe is in January. They can, so my motion for deferral would be no later than the, Mr. Clerk, maybe you can help me here. I'm trying to provide some flexibility for the CAOs. Should I say like the February meeting or sooner, if possible? How would you, what's your advice on that?
Sorry, I'm thinking out loud, Councillor. So I think if you specify, if we say February, and then at the same time council could give direction to Mr. Getsky that if the CAOs are able to deal with it sooner, to bring it back at an earlier
in January.
Just a little word on timing. So the reason why I reached out first to the CEOs of Cambridge and Woolwich is their franchise agreements are up for renewal in 2026. Wilmot's is due for renewal in 2029, Wellesley in 2033, Kitchener in 2036, Waterloo, City of Waterloo in 2041, and North Dumfries in 2042. So it's that's a little bit of the challenge of and the City of Cambridge actually already submitted its report to council without talking about it with the region earlier this summer. So everyone is staggered in the renewal of these franchise agreements. So that's a little bit of the, one of the reasons why we're never going to be perfectly in sync on this, because our renewal agreements are always at different points in time. But we're happy to bring it back to the other CAOs to have a conversation.
Yeah, I think in light of some of the changes that have happened this year, particularly around planning authorities, the fact that this impacts infrastructure in all of our roadways, not just regional roadways, and so on. And then we also have the uniqueness that probably 3/4 of Kitchener's through a separate franchise agreement that Kitchener Utilities has versus the rest of it, which is one that's covered by the region. I think it would be helpful to have that dialogue. So I would like to move that deferral, please.
So you're suggesting that this would be deferred till February, correct?
February or sooner if the CAOs can get it back to us before that. So I'm hoping for the January meeting, to be honest. I'm just trying to get
Is there a seconder for that? Okay, it's moved by Councillor Nowak. A discussion on the deferral. Seconding it. Okay, so speaking to the deferral, which is that the Regional Municipality of Waterloo defer report PDL-LEG-25-039 to February 25th, 2020, 6th, that should say, unless the area municipalities are able to bring the item forward sooner, at which time it will be brought to its earliest convenient meeting. So speaking to the deferral, Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair. A couple questions for staff on the deferral. The first is there any risk, given the timelines of when this agreement is due up, of delaying it to February or sooner?
Fiona?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. In terms of the franchise agreement itself, there's an overholding provision that if it's not renewed, the existing one continues to apply. The only concern would be with respect to the Ontario Energy Board's generic hearing. So they provided notice that they would hold a generic hearing. This arises out of the changes requested by the City of Guelph. They've not yet indicated the date by which they would receive requests for intervention by other municipalities, so we don't know what that deadline would be. So they haven't indicated that, so it would just be whether or not it occurs before the February date, then we may request to bring the matter back to council for instructions.
Councillor Rodriguez?
No, that's helpful context. And then, Mr. Gissy, could you just confirm as well, you mentioned the Cambridge agreement was just ratified this week, and confirming that they didn't engage with the region prior to getting that approved?
That's correct, yeah. So they had a report going to their council in June of this year, yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor McCabe on the deferral.
Yes, thank you. I guess particularly given what our Fiona McRae just said, I would hate to miss the opportunity to be able to participate in, sorry, I forget, what did you call it?
Through you, Chair, the Ontario Energy Board, it's a generic hearing. So
the generic hearing, yes. Right. I mean, I think that is a real risk that we would miss the opportunity to participate in this, because these agreements, once they're signed, are 20 years. It's a really long time, and I very much regret that the City of Waterloo, as Commissioner Getsky just said, they signed it 4 years ago. I don't imagine that they consulted with the region in advance of signing it, but certainly our CAO and our Commissioner of Integrated Planning and Public Works were aware that the region was doing this. They were very much aware that they were doing it, and said, when I asked about participating, they said, well, we've already signed our agreement 4 years ago, so they didn't really see the point in commenting on what the work the region was doing. So I do think that in light of the fact that we could miss the opportunity to participate in the generic hearing, that this is just deferring it as a risk I hope we do not want to take.
Councillor James.
Yeah, thank you, through you, Chair. Just a Fiona, question for clarification. So the municipalities that Enbridge is currently in, can you just state those?
Within the region?
Yes, within the region.
They have infrastructure in all of the municipalities. Most of the City of Kitchener is covered by Kitchener Utilities. But there is a portion of it near Sports World that is serviced by Enbridge.
Okay, and then I guess just recognizing Kitchener owns the utility, so that's more of a public versus private. Does that play into anything at all?
Through you, Chair, the requested amendment around if the Municipal Act is amended for the charging of fees, that would own, the request is with respect to only for-profit utilities and not for municipal utilities.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Bravanovich.
Thanks, colleagues. I would just remind Council, I think we're all obviously wanting to make sure that we take advantage of the opportunity if and when the hearing happens. We are actually together at least 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 times between now and mid-December. And so I think deferring it so that the CAOs can deal with it at their meeting next week. And if there's urgency to it, it can certainly come back to special counsel on any of those dates when we're together. In fact, there's already a set special counsel set for budget day. And there's lots of opportunity for it to be considered in plenty of time so that we don't miss the opportunity to provide input to the OEB.
Councillor Foxton.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I see what you're saying, Councillor Vanovic, but if North Dumfries isn't due till 2042, I can't even guarantee the staff or I will be allowed by 2042. And what you make today, so I don't see the justification in deferring it. To ones that are closer to it, I can see deferral, but it seems too far off for me. And by 2042, hopefully a lot of things will have changed by then and we'll be dealing with it wholly differently.
So if I can take Chair's prerogative, Councillor Foxton, I would agree with you. I think things have changed a lot in the last 20 years, or the last time most of us did sign these franchise agreements. Commissioner Getsky and I did meet with Enbridge earlier, and they were very clear that they thought this was a great deal and that we should just sign the sort of boilerplate agreement. Fiona, can I just ask you, because I don't see, I understand the spirit of Councillor Bravanovich in saying we should all talk about this, and I don't disagree with that, but is there anything to stop an area municipality from joining into the court case if the region was already signed on to it? Like, everybody would do it independently, correct? Could they? I know Guelph is the one that's leading the charge on the generic hearing.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I'm not aware of there being any impediment of any municipality requesting to intervene. They would have to file their application and set out the reasons for their request for intervention.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded, this be deferred, and Councillor Bravanovich has, I think, given a little bit of context. The earliest convenient meeting he feels is very flexible. I see no further speakers, so.
I have a question.
Councillor Foxton?
Councillor Erb, I'll let you go first and then I'll go on. Go ahead.
Councillor Erb.
I just wondering, from a staff perspective, do we have any concerns about some of the changes that that Enbridge wanted included? I know you highlighted some of those, Mr. McRae. Are they all reasonable, or was it Mr. Regier? Some of the amendments.
Through you, Madam Chair, Enbridge is requesting that the model franchise agreement in its form that was approved by the OEB is the one to use. So it's identical to the one that is coming, will expire in the spring. The changes that are recommended in the report are recommended by region staff to that model franchise agreement, but any changes to that agreement require the Ontario Energy Board approval. The representatives of Enbridge in their presentation today indicated that they typically resist any changes to the municipal franchise agreement.
So where does that leave us then? If I understand it, they're objecting to the changes that we're suggesting, or they would object?
Yes.
Okay.
Councillor Erb?
I'm just thinking.
Councillor Foxton?
I think this would follow the same suit we did with the aggregate industry, where we went and fought for their fees, and we won, and it had to go to the Supreme Court. And once the Supreme Court approved it, each municipality had, I think, 30 days to file as well to be included in the suit. Fiona, would that be the same in this, do you think?
Through you, Chair, the Ontario Energy Board has jurisdiction over the model franchise agreement, and by issuing the notice of the generic hearing, it gives other municipalities or interested parties the opportunity to request to intervene and participate in that hearing. And it would be the Ontario Energy Board that would make the final decision on what, if any, changes are made to the model franchise agreement, and then that would be the agreement that would have to be signed.
Thank you.
Councillor Craig. You're on mute.
My apologies. No, I've been listening intently to what's being said, and my questions were answered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we will now vote on a motion of deferral that the Regional Municipality of Waterloo defer the report to February 25th, 2026, unless area municipalities are able to bring the item forward sooner, at which time it will be brought at its earliest convenience. Councillor Craig, are you voting for or against this?
For?
Thank you. Colleagues, that motion to defer is defeated. We are back to the main motion. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Wolf, second by Councillor Gowing. Councillor Rodriguez.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I just wanted to share thanks to staff for this really great report. It really highlights the indirect subsidy that we've been providing here at the region. And I think it's a really great model going forward that has been followed in many peer communities in the province recently. So I wanted to thank staff for this report. This is a very, very interesting question just in regards to some of the fees conversations that we've been having through budget. Do we, in instances when work is done by Enbridge in our right-of-way outside of a regional project, do we have any warranty on the work that's done? If they repave a road or repave a segment of a sidewalk as part of a standalone project, is there any warranty to the work that they provide?
Through you, Chair. Councillor Rodriguez, I don't know in this specific instance, but that is a pretty normal activity that we would have warranty on work completed, and we would inspect to ensure that it was done properly. I don't have it on this specific instance. Happy to take it away.
No, I appreciate that, and thanks for clarifying, and thanks for some of the clarifications as well on how this will work. I think we know that our building's emissions is the biggest contributor to where we need to be, and this is a great step in the right direction. So thank you to staff.
Councillor Urbanovic.
Thanks. I'll be voting against this in the absence of the constituent members of the Federation that the region is having an opportunity to have input into this. I don't think I can support something without that consideration from the professional staff in our area municipalities. Thank you.
Councillor McCabe.
Thank you. Just wanted to be clear with the way that it is currently. If we are able to get these changes made, does that still mean that Enbridge does not have to remove their decommissioned pipes?
Through you, Chair, I will endeavor to answer this one. The changes that staff have requested do not include a requirement that they remove decommissioned pipes. It simply deals with how the cost sharing is determined. Typically, it's a 65-35 split between Enbridge and the municipality, unless it's pre-1981 infrastructure, in which case Enbridge pays 100% of the cost.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
I see no speakers. It's been moved and seconded. I'd ask everyone to please cast their ballot. Colleagues, that carries. I would now entertain a motion for the Committee of the Whole to rise and Council to resume. If I could have a mover. Moved by Councillor Wolf, seconded by Councillor Foxton. Please use your e-scribe to vote, and you're voting that the Committee of the Whole rise and Council resume. Councillor Craig, is that your hand up because you're voting yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Colleagues, that is carried. I now entertain a motion to adopt proceedings of the Committee of the Whole. Moved by Councillor Hunick, seconded by Councillor Craig. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Councillor Salonen, are you still on?
Yes, and I voted in favor.
Thank you. That is carried. Colleagues, next agenda item is motions of notice. There's been a notice of motion provided by Councillor Gowing. Actually, there's two of them. So the first one, Councillor Gowing, do you have a seconder?
Not at the moment.
Seconded by Councillor Wolf. Councillor Gowing, do you want to introduce your notice of motion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So the purpose of this motion is to establish a corporate facilities strategic plan focused on regionally owned and operated corporate and administrative facilities, ensuring these spaces are used efficiently, maintained sustainably, and aligned with organizational needs. Further, beginning in 2026, staff will develop a facilities business plan to consolidate existing departmental facility needs / plans to be used to identify opportunities for sharing, for shared use, co-locations, and operational efficiencies across the organization. This approach enables Council to address immediate corporate facility priorities while setting the stage for coordination, cross-departmental facility planning that supports long-term financial and operational sustainability. Do you want me to go through the motion?
I think everybody's got, does anyone need it read? I think you sort of hit the high points.
Perfect.
That's great. Councillor James.
Thank you, through you, Chair. And I guess my questions are, I have a few questions, but I'll enter in the queue if I need to. Is it just in terms of creating this, what would the cost of developing a strategy be, and would it have an impact on the levy for 2026 or the future?
Commissioner Rose.
Through the chair to Councillor James, the facility strategic plan, staff have estimated approximately $300,000 to do this work. The reason why is the future of hybrid work is still uncertain, and we would need to run several scenarios based on the hybrid work option. Like currently, right now, we have a 3-day a week in-house or in office for our management and management support. However, our union staff are not. They're at 2 days a week for the 1883 union. Many staff just work in the field. If that were to change, that's one scenario. Another scenario is if it changes to a 4-day a week in-house for management support, or if we move to change the hybrid working arrangements for 1883 other CUPE workers, that's 2 scenarios. So there are so many different scenarios that we would need to run in order to really understand the future facilities needs across the corporation. So the team would have to work with a consultant and working groups across the corporation made up of staff in every single program area so they could talk to us about what their staffing needs would be for the future. So that's the first one. So if we were to, there's two ways to add the $300,000 to the 2026 budget. One is to add $300 to professional fees in the operating budget for facilities, or we could create a capital project of $300,000, which would then need to be debt financed. And then the other study, the business plan study, since that's a compilation of already existing studies based on what we have now, we would need, we think it would be at most $100,000 to get someone to come in and find all, well, not find, but get all those studies and then compile them into one report. And then again, we would need the professional fees increased to hire that consultant.
Okay, thank you. Just one other follow-up. When we think about facility studies, what is the number of facilities that we'd be looking at across the region? Like, do you have that?
Yes, we do. We would be looking at, we have over 900 buildings that are owned by the region. However, not all of those are staffed. So we would be looking at all of the staffed buildings. So that would be the corporate or shared buildings, which are 99 Regina, 150 Frederick, 150 Main, 20 Weber, and 134 Frederick. And then there's the transit facilities, the water and wastewater facilities, the airport, community services, senior services, all of those centers that all have staff in them. So I don't have the number of staffed buildings on me right now, but yes, that we would be looking at all staffed buildings. And then for the future, for the facilities strategic plan, we'd be looking at future. So if we think about paramedics, for instance, they did bring a master plan forward, which indicated that they had stations that they needed in certain parts of the region. And then we would be speaking with Chief Riches on what are the staffing needs with respect to those and the size of those buildings and what we would need to accommodate there.
Okay, and just one further question, and then I'm done, Chair Redmond. Would this also include WRPS facilities as well?
I think that's a question for Councillor Gowing.
Okay, all right. Councillor Gowing, did you include or plan on that as well with your motion?
Thanks. So really right now what this is looking for is just corporate and administration buildings. I think that's kind of where it was heading. The business plan itself, yes, does incorporate the entirety of the region buildings, but that's more of bringing all the current plans that we currently have throughout the departments together after this strategic plan of all corporate and administrative buildings is completed. So initially, the strategic plan doesn't include WRPS or paramedic services. However, in the business plan, once this is completed and we consolidate everything together, that's kind of where I was going with all this.
Councillor Rodriguez.
Thank you, Chair. And through you, two questions to staff. In the absence of this motion, could you maybe speak to the work that's either underway or planned to be underway as part of ongoing return to work? I'll start with that.
Through the chair to Councillor Rodriguez, certainly. So as we are going back to a return to work of 3 days in the office for management support staff starting on December 1st, we have looked at all of our corporate shared buildings, the ones that I listed earlier, and we are speaking with all of the program areas on what that would mean for their teams and their staff. So we've just about finished with 150 Frederick, 20 Weber, 150 Main are completed as well. So all the shared buildings besides 150 Frederick and 99 Regina are all completed. So as we work with staff, we need to understand what does 3 days in the office look like based on staff teams and staff sizes. We do know that through this work, we may need to move teams around, which is which is something that we're speaking with the program areas about. And then the other thing I wanted to mention was the, oh my goodness. It's been a long 2 days. Sorry, I probably will remember as soon as I turn my microphone off. But we are working towards. Oh, I remember now that we do know that there's enough space to have kind of like what we're calling regional open booking space areas for staff to sit in if their dedicated space for their program areas is full. So we are working on that, and that's when I spoke to Councillor Gowing about this motion. That's when I indicated we already have existing plans and existing space information and data that we're working with the program areas on. It's just not all in one consolidated document.
Okay.
Councillor Rodriguez?
Thank you, Chair. A brief follow-up. So in terms of the, obviously the costs that you've spoken to of this, is this in sort of staff's work plan or other projects that would have to fall off the radar in 2026 to accommodate this?
Through the chair to Councillor Rodriguez, this would be new work for our staff, so we would need to reprioritize their work. This would also, though, I just would like to emphasize there is a difference between the business plan and the facility strategic plan. The business plan, we would not need support from the other program areas and their staff. The strategic plan, we would need support from those areas and their staff to work on the strategic plan. So the strategic plan would probably take a couple of years to do, and then the other one, the business plan would probably take a year to do. So it's not just impact to facility staff, it's impact for the facility strategic plan option that's impacting all the program areas across. And neither of these projects have been included in the work plans for 2026.
Councillor Rodriguez?
Yeah, so Chair, at the appropriate time, I think the wording of this motion, I've spoken to Councillor Gowing about this, I think this is really a budget matter. There's an unfunded project that we have here, and I think, not to say whether it's valuable or not, I think it's a good exercise, but I think there's an unfunded project here, and the first part of the motion asks staff to do it, and then the second part has us figuring out how to fund it. So I'm wondering if it would be more appropriate as a budget item that we deal with in December, and Councillor Gowing indicated his openness to that.
So I guess from my perspective, and I would look to the clerk, this obviously is going to take a lot of time and money, so this would only, I would think, be referred to budget if it was passed by council as something that we wanted to be considered for the budget.
So perhaps, could we flip the wording or refine the wording of it that asks us to go to budget to figure this out, and then provided that that's approved and the funding's in place, then staff are directed to undertake that work? Yeah.
We're thinking here.
Why don't we just defer it to budget?
No.
So if this were passed, we could add the word subject to budget approval.
I'd be amenable to that. If Councillor Gowing is.
Councillor Gowing? Or Councillor Nowak? Or Wolf? Who? Councillor Wolf? Do we have unanimous consent to, if this passes, it would be subject to budget approval? Okay, there's no unanimous consent.
Okay, so I'd be happy to move that this be subject to budget approval.
So you're making an amendment that this be subject to budget approval. That's seconded by Councillor Foxton. So we're moving, we will now be voting on that amendment. So it would be as presented, but we would insert subject to budget approval.
That's correct, thank you.
So Councillor Hunick, do you want to speak to the amendment?
I don't know what category my question is. I don't think so. I want to speak to the motion.
So if you're not speaking to the motion subject to budget approval, I'll come back to you.
Okay, cool, let's do that.
Councillor Gowing. Okay. Councillor Foxton, you are. Councillor McCabe. Speaking to the motion. Okay, so we're now voting on the amendment that says this motion be subject to budget approval. Councillor Urbanovich, we're voting on an amendment to subject to budget approval. So colleagues, that is carried. I'm going to go back to our speakers list. Councillor Hunick, did you want to speak?
Yeah, so I'm suffering from sticker shock with this motion. I thought we had a facility strat plan anyways, so I'm wondering why would it be $300,000? Is that inclusive of other work too? Commissioner Rose, help me.
Through the chair to Councillor Hunick, we did have a facility strategic plan that was completed before the pandemic. And the recommendation out of that plan was that we build a new building, essentially mirroring this one here, to a cost of about $80 million. But that strategic plan was based on the old ways of working before the pandemic, so before hybrid work, where the assumption was everybody would come in 5 days a week and everyone would have an office space. With this new hybrid ways of working, we really need to, this is new to facilities as well, and I think it's new to a lot of people in the facilities industries. We need to understand how to do strategic planning based off the different scenarios that could be available to us. In my work in infrastructure type projects, it's when you start running into different scenarios where the cost of the project goes up, because each scenario has a different variable to it, and you need to run the models on all of those scenarios before you can make your recommendations to go forward. So that, and the other cost is all of the workshops. So a consultant would have to come in and speak with Commissioner Sweeney's team, Commissioner Spooner's team, Commissioner Ruger's team, to talk about what, under these different scenarios, do you think your staffing space needs would look like out, 20, 30 years. So it's become a complex project simply because of the hybrid work environment that we're working in. I mean, another scenario could possibly be that hybrid work disappears and everybody comes in 5 days a week. And what does that look like? So there's just so many scenarios and the complexity of them that we wanted to 300,000 might be on the high stage, but we'd like to have at least that much to work with.
So a follow-up question, if I may, Chair. If we don't vote for this tonight, is the facility strat plan built into the budget? You said it was done before the pandemic, which was a long time ago. What kind of a cycle is it already on?
Yeah, so
I'm trying to get at, do we need this right now?
I guess through the chair, the one thing that we're doing now to address future space needs is we're doing it by program rather than corporately. So, for instance, and I keep going back to Dr. Wong's paramedics plan because it's the most recent one. So in that plan, there was consideration of staffing needs out into the future, and that's something that Dr. Wong did. So as I think there's also there isn't. There's going to be for for me, for water supply, wastewater treatment, that's mostly looking at infrastructure. But when we did the financial strategy, we are also looking at what possible staffing needs we need for the future. So each program area is doing it differently and providing those needs to corporate services. And as we move through the years and as we build our facilities, things change so much from a staffing perspective that we can be nimble and agile in terms of how we want to accommodate staffing needs currently and into the future.
Okay, so I think for me, in principle, this sounds like a really good idea, but it still seems kind of murky, and I'm not sure of the urgency or the ability to dedicate $300,000 to this right now in the current financial climate. Thank you very much for your insight, Commissioner Rose.
Councillor Gowing, are you back in?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think we're making this bigger than I'm asking. I'm not looking to have scenarios done on 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 7 days. What I'm just looking for is a clear inventory and analysis of existing corporate and administrative facilities, assessment of current usage, capacity, and functional sustainability, evaluation of operating, maintenance, and life cycle costs, and identification of anticipated capital renewals or improvements needed over the next 5 to 10 years. I'm not looking for this is not to bring people back to work and where are we going to put them. I literally want to know what buildings we have, what's the life cycles, what's our capacity currently. I'm looking to see if there's any way for us to coexist and build revenue from the spaces that we have, if that's possible. I'm not looking for different scenarios. I'm literally looking for that strategic plan on those things. I'm not asking for any extravagant dig down into if we're bringing people back so many days a week. That is something totally separate from what I'm looking for this.
I appreciate that explanation. However, if you look at your whereases, go ahead.
So it does talk about bringing people back 3 days a week, and that's fine. And I think the problem is I've split them into 2 different motions, and I did that for a certain reason because I knew somebody would pull it out and say, I want to vote on that separate from there. However, I'm looking at literally just that. And the reason we're bringing people back 3 days a week, I want to know after that, what is our capacity? What do we have? What's the usage look like? That sort of thing. Does that make sense? Is that clearer?
Thank you for that clarification. Councillor McCabe.
Thank you, through you, Chair. With all due respect, your second motion, though, is talking about pausing all that. So I think it is, for me, this seems really confusing. But my bigger question is, how is this any different from asset management, the asset management process that we're doing in 2026? That's not a question for Commissioner Rose. That's a question for Councillor Gowing. I see this as asset management and the work that's already scheduled to do. So tell me how that's different, Councillor Gowing.
Councillor Gowing?
Yeah, so the difference is the asset management talks about we have these buildings and this is the cost of upkeep. What this is going to narrow down is what are the current usages of those spaces, what is the capacity of those, and what is the functionality and sustainability of those buildings. It's also going to talk about if there's any other existing way that we can, if we don't know what we have out there. I know that the facilities has a list of things, of buildings that we have, and they already said that they're doing this work just not in a plan, they're doing it as department. But for us to look at it as a whole, I think there's ways for us to commingle or cooperate between departments and better usage of our facilities. Throwing money on money for the sake of money, it just doesn't make sense to me. I think what we need to do is have a full plan of what we have. That's the difference between the asset management and what I'm asking here.
Yeah, I don't see how that, I really didn't follow that. I don't know what the money on money comment is, but Commissioner Rose, can you maybe just give us a high-level overview of how you're going to do the asset management? Because it feels to me like the motions would be duplicating what already is going to be in process for the asset management work that you are going to do.
Commissioner Rose?
Yes, through the chair, I do appreciate the questions councilors are asking and the clarifications. It is helpful. So the asset management work is really, we do condition assessments on our facilities all the time. We're doing inspections and work orders, and we put that together for a renewal plan for all of our facilities. So we've already got that. We've got lists of all the renewal work that we're and prioritized out for several years. So that's the asset management side of things. So we know what our infrastructure is, and we know what needs to be replaced. We know what needs to be repaired, and we know what needs to be maintained to extend to get the full life out of the equipment and the facility. I think what Councillor Gowing is asking for is more what maybe available space we have in facilities for staff to work in, but I'm not sure.
I don't
if
understand
that's,
why that wouldn't be part of the asset management.
That's not, no, because it's like office spaces. So I'm going to take 150 Frederick, for example. We have, we have staff on, we have dedicated space now for staff on 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1. But we have a bit of dedicated space for certain programs on 5, on the 5th floor. But we have some space there that's available for like open bookings of desks for people who maybe come from 99 Regina. So we have those available, and we're creating the same kind of hubs in each of our facilities that are shared spaces. So like 99 Regina will have dedicated spaces for community services, public health, which are in there right now, but then they'll also have this kind of open hub space. That's what we're working on right now for the 3-day-a-week piece that's coming in. And this is where maybe some clarification from me is needed too, is for areas like that are dedicated to water, like the Manheim water treatment area. We would not have anybody go in there except water staff because of security issues. Same with the lab. So for like a paramedic station, we may not, we will just be having that for paramedics staff. We will not open it up unless, Shuli or Dr. Wong says, yes, there is space there for those people. So we have to look at the program needs, security needs for like the buildings that are dedicated for certain things, like a transit station, that kind of thing. So
I'm going to intervene here and say thank you very much. And Councillor McCabe,
I was just going to say, it sounds like you have this in hand, and personally, I just don't think the motion...
Metchu is going to weigh in and help clarify all of this.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'll just try to interpret, maybe the simplest ask that is being expressed through the motion is really what you. So we could look at a single scenario of, I would say, the status quo in terms of the way we work, and we would just look at the items that are in the motion, which is through an inventory and analysis of current usage, and opportunities for consolidation, because I think you're trying to get at potential revenue if we had the capacity to lease out space. So if we did a single scenario, in the current way that we would do hybrid work, we would do the inventory, assessment of current usage, anticipated capital renewal, and then see if this provides any opportunities for lease or sale of regional assets under that one specific scenario. So we're not multiplying the scenarios, but then we're kind of scoping it to this, and that's something that's different from the asset management, and it's something that I don't think we've done at the corporate scale. So again, we have some departmental ones, but at the corporate scale, we haven't said, well, if we move this department from there to there and consolidate in this unit, this frees this space. That's something we haven't done recently. So that might be the ask that the kind of the simpler ask that we get out of it that we could work with and bring back to this council.
Okay, I'm going to go to Councillor Foxton.
I think Matthew basically said what I was going to say. The only other thing I would say is making sure that our departments that intermingle with each other are in close proximity and talk to each other so that we don't have things falling through the gaps because they haven't talked. The right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing.
Councillor Papanovich.
Thanks very much, and I want to thank Councillor Gowing for bringing this motion forward. I think it's actually quite insightful for him as a new member of council to bring something like this forward. It's something that, quite frankly, I think we desperately need. It is very different than asset management, which is all about looking at, and we have an obligation to have an asset management plan with the federal government, and that asset management plan looks at what our assets are and what do we need to do to maintain those assets, whereas this really looks at what are our space needs, how are we using them, and do we have surplus space needs that, as Mr. Getsky just indicated, perhaps in the future we may want to revisit them. I look at the building next door, for example, which has been largely empty for a year. At nighttime, it's often lit up like a Christmas tree. And, ratepayers are asking, why is this building sitting empty? Why is it lit up in the way it is? And quite frankly, I think most, if not all of us, don't have answers for that. And so I think this kind of report actually will be very helpful and will get us the necessary information so we can do our due diligence from a governance perspective and give staff the direction that they need.
Councillor James.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I just want to confirm. So I can't deny that potentially this is something there's a gap that's been identified. What I'm trying to wrap my head around is we're about to go into a budget where if this is approved, it's $300,000, maybe even more, because you're considering a consultant, staff resources, maybe there's hires in there as well. As much as it's trying to be minimized, say maybe not that much work, we know as soon as you start something like this, it can compound and become more than we anticipate. So my concerns, and I'll say this is as much if this is passed into the budget, is around who is paying for this. And if it's levy or if it's not, and then it's debt financed, which potentially it could be based on capital. I in a time when we're trying to cut, there was proposals for 2.2% and 3% yesterday. And, I'm just conscious of, is this the right time for this? And, are we going to, is this really going to have the impact that's needed? So, and then just also considering as well, you've adjusted, I think this motion that you've presented based on what we're dealing with now is completely different because there's more clarity around it. There has been changes to it. So I don't think this is the same motion. I think there's been adjustments, and I think if what you're asking, how you've explained it, Councillor Gowing, that should be something presented completely different to go to budget. I just don't think it's the same thing that you're presenting right now based on how it's been explained. So, and then again, that cost associated. I'll stop there. I will not support this motion as it's written. I would encourage you to probably position a different motion to come forward to budget that is clear and specific just like how it was explained today. Thank you.
Councillor Hunick.
Thank you, Chair. I think I would like to hear from Councillor Gowing as to what made you think or realize that commissioners and by proxy council are not aware of the assets we have and the space needs that we need.
Thanks, Councillor. I don't think it's that we don't know. I just, when I was going around touring each different building, I noticed that there is significant shortage of usage on, maybe it was specific days that I went, but from asking questions, that wasn't the case. I know that when I went to 99 Regina, I'm going to say the right-hand side on certain floors were completely empty when I walked through. And from what I understand, they're always empty. I know 134, like Councillor Brevanovic says, is empty or was empty, and it's going to be refurbished for something else, from what I understand. So that's what got me looking and coming to this, because when I asked these specific questions, I was sent to the asset management plan, which again, that's why I know it says we have facilities, this is the upkeep. And then I was sent to the corporate strategic plan, excuse me, the optimization, whatever it's called, from before the pandemic. And again, it was null and void because we're totally different atmosphere. And to talk to why I went into all that and where I got to it, that's why I talked about the pandemic in the whereases. That's why I talked about we're at hybrid. That's why I talked about all of those things. And maybe that's what murked the waters a little bit. But I wanted to keep it as vague as possible. I didn't want to narrow down because I wanted to give staff the ability to do it on their own and come up with different things. But it sounds like I should have made it a little more specific. But I think those 4 items that I have on there that Matthew came up with, that's exactly what I was looking for in this motion. So it is the same motion, except I put in a little more background when I probably shouldn't have.
Councillor Hunick.
So I'm not comfortable supporting the motion in its current form because I don't think it's affordable, but my input would be similar to Councillor James, that if it can be reworked and reworded with more clarity, then maybe we can find the needed funding for it.
Councillor Erb.
Thank you. I have a question for Commissioner Rose. You highlighted the consultants that we would have to hire, but that would also mean supervision from staff that are currently within your department. So I'm wondering, is that capacity there in staffing now that would sort of oversee this project, or would that require an additional staffing component within your department?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Erb, I think now that the project has been explained in a little bit more detail, it seems to me that what was missing from the conversations I had with Councillor Gowing was this idea of, and I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, Councillor Gowing, but the idea of doing space needs with one of the ends in mind being perhaps having space available to rent to the community or to whoever. So if we do scope the projects to what's happening currently with our current staffing situation and our current buildings and our current available space, with a goal of trying to create space that could be available to be rented out, then I think that it would be a much smaller project, and it would probably fit more within that $100,000 I was speaking about, the business plan one, and it could be done by existing staff. It will add to their workload, no doubt, because they do have to oversee the consultant, but I wouldn't need too much extra staff time from the other departments as well to do that project.
Councillor Erb.
So you're saying it's manageable with the current components?
It's manageable if I, yes, understand the project correctly. And I think I do based on the conversation, but I would need Councillor Gowing to confirm that.
Thank you.
Councillor Gowing?
Yes, that's exactly. It was not to be this extravagant make work project.
Councillor Salonen?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I would like to call the question. So I guess a motion to call the question unless there's unanimous consent around the horseshoe.
So we've had a request to call the question. Do we have a seconder to call the question? Okay, it's seconded by Councillor McCabe. We will call the question. So we're voting on the notice of motion. Oh, on calling the question, sorry. We're voting on calling the question. So we're going to put it up, but what we're voting on is a motion to call the question. Colleagues, that is carried. So we are now voting on an amended motion. We had a notice of motion, and it has been amended to having a line at the end that says subject to budget approval. The vote was tied, so it is defeated. So colleagues, on to the next notice of motion from Councillor Gowing. And this is regarding a pause on the return to office planning. Is there a seconder for your motion, Councillor Gowing?
Not at the moment.
Councillor James, you're seconding it? Okay. Councillor Gowing, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes. So the purpose of this motion is to align with future return to work initiatives such as forthcoming corporate. Now, it's not forthcoming because it didn't pass, but I will try to rework it and get it passed. However, the management and management support employee group is scheduled to return to the office 3 days per week beginning December 1st, 2025. This motion directs that no further return to work, return to office expansions or changes be implemented for other staff groups until there is, again, I'm going to bring back the corporate strategic plan later, but at least there's a plan in place. So right now, I know that, again, going around, speaking with, looking at what we have, we are all over the place, and from what I understand, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong today, but we're scrambling to get people back to work. And originally, my motion was to pause all return to work, but I understand that the December 1st was coming already in play, and staff had already started to make plans at home for them to return to work 3 days a week. So this motion would pause all further until we have a solid plan put together.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I have no speakers. The clerk is suggesting that paragraph 3 be deleted because that other motion failed. I can read the motion. Are you amenable to deleting that one section, Councillor Gowie?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And if I can just add one, not to the motion, but while you're doing that, one statement. The other reason I'm doing this is because from what I understand, there was no direction from council to bring people back 3 days a week. It was brought forward from staff. So I just want to make sure that we are aligned, that we want to make sure that we have a solid plan before we start making these decisions going forward. That's what this is for.
So I guess I would just point out this is an operational decision, and it was made by the leadership at the region. I'm now going to read the motion, and then I will go to the speaking list. So this has been moved by Councillor Gowing, seconded by Councillor James, whereas the region of Waterloo is proceeding with the December 1st, 2025 return to work, 3 days per week for the management and management support employee group. And whereas decisions regarding workplace design, allocation, or facility use have long-term implications for operations, finances, and service delivery, be it resolved that the Regional Council pause all further return to office planning or implementation activities beyond December 1st, 2025, including any additional staff group returns or related facility renovations, relocations, or workplace redesign activities until the corporate facilities strategic plan has been completed and considered by council. And further be it resolved that the staff report back to council on the anticipated implications of this pause, including potential timelines, interim measures, and communication to affected departments and staff. Councillor Bravanovich.
Thanks, and again, thank you to Councillor Gowing for bringing this forward. I think it is fair to say that you know, the decisions that were made to have remote work in place were made during the time of COVID in response to the situation that us and, quite frankly, all workforces have found themselves in. I think we know that across Ontario, across Canada, in fact, around the world, many people are returning to the office, certainly 4, even 5 days per week for a variety of reasons. In principle, I see the benefit of your motion. I think it probably could benefit Councillor Gowing from a little bit of rework in light of the other motion not passing. I mean, it's obviously your prerogative, but I think it might be helpful to take a pause, and it's my suggestion to you in order to look at your two motions and how they might be best combined to go forward.
Councillor Hunick.
Thank you, Chair. I want all of council and the community to be aware that I think that hybrid work arrangements are most effective for equal opportunity employment. And we cannot determine someone's productivity versus based on the environment that they work in. People can waste time at work or I work in the office or I work at home. It happens everywhere. That being said, I think that SLT did a great job in reaching a compromise of 3 days a week, given the provincial influence to force everyone back to work 5 days a week. And so, I think that 3 days a week is the best compromise we can hope for at this time. Thanks.
I see no further speakers. It's been moved and seconded. I guess the comment I would make is, I think sometimes when we have an impression or we're passionate about something, we may use words that are imprudent. And I think scrambling to get people back gives a really inaccurate impression to people watching. There is a plan to come back. It is being implemented. It has been strategic. Certainly there's been communication that has gone out to all of our employees. So I wouldn't want anybody watching this think that it was just an announcement made with no planning. There has been planning, and sometimes as elected officials, we need to know what the right questions are to ask. So I think all of this was done with good intention. I too will not support this notice of motion, but it is before us. So we've heard the motion. I will now call the question. Please use your e-scribe to vote. Colleagues, that is defeated. I have no further notices of motion, no unfinished business, but I do have other business. I want to take a moment to provide some special recognitions to our outstanding staff. A big shout out to Darby Lehman, one of our equipment operators here at the region. She participated as a very first female operator in the Association of Ontario Road Supervisors Provincial Safety Truck Rodeo, scoring an impressive second place finish. And I want to thank her for inspiring, with an inspiring example for other women considering careers in public works and sharing her experience with all of us. Congratulations, Darby. Jazz hands. I also want to congratulate Dan Rose for his recent certification as a certified road supervisor with the AORS. Those who receive this certification have aptly demonstrated their professionalism, accountability, and morale as a member of the Public Works team. Congratulations to Dan. We ask delegations and people in the gallery not to clap, so we really shouldn't. I ask this with great trepidation. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to go into close. Oh. To everybody take a deep breath. This is a motion to go into closed session on November 21st, 2025. So this is on Friday. It's a closed meeting of council to be held November 21st, 2025 at 1 p.m. in the Waterloo County Room in accordance with Section 239 of the Municipal Act 2001 for the purposes of considering the following subject matters. 1, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose related to ongoing litigation regarding the 100 Victoria Street encampment. If I could have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Fox and seconded by Councillor James.
Chair, I'm in favor, but my e-scribe decided to just give up on me and it called it quits for the night.
Can I just tell you how much I like your e-scribe, Councillor Salonen?
Agreed.
So we're voting. Okay. Is there anybody else that's arguing with their e-scribe? That is carried, colleagues. I bet everybody took an inhale when we thought we were going into closed now, right? We now need a motion to approve the bylaws as listed in the agenda. Councillor McCabe, you're moving it? Seconded by Councillor Hunick. So it is 21.1 through to 21.4. Please use your e-scribe to vote.
Also in favor.
So now I know, Councillor Salonen, would you like to move adjournment? Is Councillor Craig still online?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Councillor Erb, would you like to second the adjournment? Please use your e-scribe to vote. And Commissioner Rose, I want you to know that when you were collecting your thoughts, there wasn't anybody around this horseshoe that wasn't at one with you. It's been a long couple days. Yeah, Councillor Salinen's in favor.